Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you're watching this and whenever you're watching this. If you're watching it live in the UK, it is good evening. I'm Graham Mack. This is Red All Over YouTube. It's the YouTube version of Red All Over the Land, which is the longest lasting and only surviving Liverpool fanzine, which has been going for close to 28 years now. The editor is John Pearman. How are you, John?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
We've got a few special guests tonight. The first one of them is Yanni, or John, giving it an international flavour tonight. He's actually in Greece. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice to be with you.
Great. Well, we'll talk about the fanzine first of all. The new fanzine is out soon, John. This is the cover. What can you tell us about what's in the new fanzine, which is being posted out to fans right now, and is also going to be available at the first home game, which will be about Bournemouth a couple of weeks. Will it be at the Chelsea game, the away game first?
No, not at Chelsea. Nobody was lucky enough to secure a ticket, but definitely be on sale against Bournemouth. It was on sale last night at Preston, and
okay, cool, right. So people have already got it then, yeah.
And it actually sold very well at Preston. And it actually contains quite a little bit about the Saudi involvement in football, all revolving really around one player, although two players do get a mention. That is Steven Gerrard and Jordan Henderson. So, there's also a piece in it about the impact that Merseybeat had on the COP. That's going to be an ongoing story. It's too much to put into one issue. It filled one issue, it would. We're hoping that gets a bit of interest. So, yeah. So it was. It wasn't hard work doing it. It was, but it's got done, and there's a lot going on right at the end. So, yeah, we covered most things.
Yeah, you did. You got the pictures of the Pride, Liverpool Pride in there, and Cop Out, who were there. That's pretty recent.
We went along to see Liverpool Pride. We were invited over by the Spirit of Shankly, who we'll talk about later. It was an excellent day, fantastic because the weather was good, and then the colour was you had to see it to believe it. The colour was amazing, and everybody could be themselves, no matter who they were or what they wanted to be. They could be themselves, and that's how life should be. And it was very, very friendly. And as I say, well, you know Liverpool, Graham, you know what it's like when it gets its teeth into something. It was beautifully done, and it was a pleasure to be there and see so much colour and friendliness.
Yeah. All right. So that's the latest edition of Red All Over the Land. We will talk a little bit. There is a great article in there about our night that we had at Hotel Anfield a few weeks back, which was Phil Thompson was our special guest. There's a great report in there by a budding young journalist. And there's some nice photographs in there as well about that. And on the night, the music, it was superb, as it always is. There's David John Jaggs from the Ragamuffins, who joins us now. How are you, Dave? You all right?
knocking my phone over. What a great start. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for the kind words.
It was a terrific night, and you just brought the atmosphere. I mean, you just got everybody going from the very start. It was great.
Yeah, we had dancers from 7 o'clock in the evening, which is always a nice thing to see. But it's it was a belter. I think that was only the second time I've met Phil, and he's a great fella.
It was a great night. Yeah.
All right. At one time, I didn't think he was going to go home.
He didn't. I tried to wind it. I thought he's going to be. It was going so late. I thought he's going to want to get home, so I tried to wind it up, and he wouldn't let me. He's like, "No, shut up! I want to." I was doing a Q&A, and he just wanted to keep going, which was great.
Yeah,
really
brilliant. Good. Yeah. I thought the things he said about Houllier were especially poignant. I think he does deserve a lot more respect for what he did with us than perhaps he gets. Just, I suppose, one of those, isn't it? It's like with Benitez coming in and winning the Champions League, it's obviously it's something that changed the narrative a little bit. But yeah, he's right. I mean, what a fella he was, and obviously Phil was right there. I mean, regardless of what he did for us as a player, which is insane.
He's won everything as a player, didn't he?
Wins everything as a player, and then comes in and goes, actually, I'm going to be absolutely at the forefront of rebuilding the club, which is crackers.
Yeah, he told a nice story as well about when Houllier was having his heart problems and how he motivated the team, and he had a flip chart in the dressing room and he flipped it down. It just said, "Do it for the boss." I mean, that was just class, wasn't it? That was just
lovely.
it was a great story. Well, Dave, you only just sorry, John.
Some of the other stories were pretty good, but we can't repeat them, can we?
No, he wouldn't let anyone film it either. He didn't want to go on the internet. One particular player got a hard time. Yeah. Graham Souness didn't come out well either. You had to be there, which is a reason why you should really be at our next night, which is on November the 18th. I'm going to mention this later on as well if you don't catch this. We've got Kevin Keegan as our special guest, so that is going to be some night, and you still got to finalise a few details, John. But the date is confirmed, isn't it? And the deposit's paid. Kevin Keegan's booked. Yeah, 18th of November.
I don't know if you can see this here. That's the first advert that we've done for it. It's going to be all sorted out, possibly over the next week or 2 weeks.
Right, great stuff.
That date is actually the official birthday of Red All Over the Land. That's the day we first came out, the 18th of November, 1995.
Brilliant! What a great guest to have for that, to commemorate that. And Dave, you only just
managed. Birthday too.
It's your birthday, is it? Yeah. Will you be able to get over from Greece to come to that night?
You'll have to come over then.
As a birthday treat. When someone asks you what do you want for your birthday, say I want to go to Liverpool to see Kevin Keegan with Red All Over the Land.
Well, now you got me. I was planning with my wife to come to attend the game with Forest, but now we have to. Let's say reschedule the whole thing, and that's a good point. That's a nice birthday present.
We'll find out more about you in a minute, Yanni, because you're a multimedia celebrity, let's face it. We'll find out more about that, but I want to stay with Dave because Dave can't stay that long tonight. Dave, when you played the gig for Red All Over the Land at Hotel Anfield, the Phil Thompson night, you only just managed to fit that in, didn't you? Between Glastonbury and a trip to Norway and all sorts of things with the Ragamuffins.
Yeah, so we did. Yes, we did. We did a thing the first couple of days of Glastonbury, which was really good. Then I went over to the Netherlands because they have a biannual, which by that I mean every 2 years rather than twice a year, which I feel like you've always got to clarify when you say that. One of the intricacies and mysticisms of the English language, that isn't it? But so they have an open day every other year called Alsindag, and obviously because of COVID, the 2021 one couldn't happen. So it had been 4 years since the previous one, so they had a big whole event over this. So they had as their special guest a certain Mr. Dirk Kuyt, which was incredible because I mean, obviously, I felt ridiculous talking to him about my meager footballing experiences over a beer, which just it's like, "Hey mate, I've seen you playing in the new camp, but I'm just going to tell you about me having a game on Stanley Park a couple of years ago and scoring a shinner." So it's just insane, and I don't know. Sometimes I fail to get my head around it. But while we were having this chat, Kim, who's in charge of their supporters club. Kim's lovely. She was like, "Oh, by the way, there's a football tournament tomorrow, and there's an international team if you want to play for them, and we'll sort you a pair of boots, and there are a couple of players short." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do this." So I thought, well, that's the end of me having a pint this evening, and so next morning, find myself a nice pair. Hey, nice pair of copper mundials. So I was treated well. Not brand new, obviously, but so I got a pair of copper mundials on, and yeah, we did quite well. But in the last 2 games, I think if we'd have won one of them, we'd have got into the final 2 to play off to win the thing. And I very quickly realised that I'd been at Glastonbury for 2 days before, and my legs just went, and I was absolutely gone. So we got beat in both of them. I actually had to try. I scored a hand of God goal, which was obviously disallowed, but it was. That's been on my footballing bucket list for years. So I got a hand of God goal, and yeah, and then we got beat in the final in the 3rd and 4th place playoff, and I missed the penalty as well. So I missed the penalty in front of Dirk Kuyt, which was just shameful. But yeah.
Yeah, I played
so we did that, and then
I played in a charity match once in Australia, and for the radio station versus the TV station. The radio station I did the breakfast show on, so I was the breakfast show host. So of course they made me the captain, which was a big mistake because it was 0-0 and we get a penalty. So I said I'm going to take it, and I put it wide to one side, and this repeated at Anfield when I did the penalty shootout for Red All Over the Land as well. But this, I put it wide, and then the game went to a penalty shootout because it was still 0-0. So I had the chance to win the game and blew it. Had the chance to win the game at the end with the penalty shootout. I missed my penalty and we lost to the TV station. There's just like, and they ran it on the TV, on the news, on the telly, on the night as well.
Of course, the TV station are going to rub it in then if it's going on them, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
my
it's just awful.
fame in local football has got nothing to do with Liverpool or Australia or Norway or Holland or Greece. It was I faced 2 penalties as a goalkeeper in one game, and I saved them both. However, we lost 6-1.
Oh no, not fair.
It was actually
no justice in the
game of maybe 60 or 70. It was a Sunday morning game. And when you walked off at the end, the crowd applauded me. And once you went off, at the back of the changing room was a pigsty. So that was my claim to fame. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've lived it down since then, John.
I've never mentioned it until tonight.
Oh, you haven't mentioned it until tonight, yeah. And how about yours, Dave? Yeah.
So, well, have I lived it down? Well, when I told me bandmates, on Friday, I was telling, because I'd not really told. I'd kind of kept it stum because it was such a. Because obviously the thing we've been doing this last weekend, Dirk was there again, and so I was like, yeah, I told him I just about got over missing that penalty by now, but yeah, one of those, isn't it? So yeah, we've just been over to Norway this weekend for a it was like it was a thing called Liverpool Festival in a place called Jovik. And it was just incredible, to be quite honest. There was they had Bruce Grobbelaar was over there, Sammy Lee, George Sefton, Ragnold, who obviously runs Tier and is an author, and who else? Peter Beardsley, Dirk Kuyt, obviously. All the lads from Boss Night, so Keo, Timo, Jamie. So and Andy Hodgson as well, who plays at Taggies on match days, and obviously the Ragamuffins as well. So it just blow. I mean, obviously it feels correct to talk about it on Red All Over the Land because it just blows your mind sometimes. I mean, we saw the footage earlier on the week of like Keo playing over in Singapore, and just the hordes of people watching, and it's like. You shouldn't be able to put. I mean, we were saying like when teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona are mooted as the biggest teams in the world, you're not telling me you go to a bar in Manchester or Newcastle and find 50 Barcelona fans on a Saturday evening, just all crowded in there, not after a game or anything, just having a big party and just singing Barcelona songs. I just don't think it happens. It just doesn't.
No.
I just don't think it happens. And
well, Yanni, in Greece, is Liverpool the biggest team in Greece outside any of the Greek teams?
Yes, actually it is. Even though the last few years there is Barcelona, Real Madrid, and City as well. They are increasing the crowd. Yes, unbelievable. Yes, but they are increasing. Well, look, titles sometimes attract people,
Yeah.
young people, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
even though this happens most of the time, I was very impressed about young people early at this century. That young people, teenagers, were coming to the club, to the supporter branch, and they were Liverpool supporters. Even though '90s were almost nothing, that we had
Yeah.
only two
Yeah.
cups,
Yeah.
and I was asking them, what did attract you to be a Liverpool supporter? And they said, history, players, Anfield atmosphere, even though they were never been there at Anfield, listening to the sound that was coming out from the screen. And they were impressed, they were attracted. And also they had somebody, elder, to, let's say,
Okay.
guide them on the right
Yeah. Yeah.
way.
Yeah, well, let's face it, that's how we all became Liverpool fans anyway, you know. In John's case, it was mum. With me, it was a family. And I'm sure with Dave, it was, what are you doing there, Dave? Anyway, because you've got a new song, Dave, I want you to tell us about that in a bit, but I'll just read some comments we've got so far from people who are watching live on YouTube. Road End Podcast. We're talking to them later on, aren't we, John?
Yes.
Road End Podcast, yeah. Oh, David John Jaggs has disappeared. Well, we'll get him back in a bit. Road End Podcast says, brilliant night, gents. Looking forward to the next. So he was at the Phil Thompson night. So, yeah, that's right. I got him up. It was Dom, wasn't it? I got him up and had a chat with him.
Yeah.
Also, Road End Podcast says, Jaggs, hello. So that was one
Hello,
for you, Dave.
how you doing, mate?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I've got one from N. He says, good evening all, and in particular, John. Great to meet you on the train to Chester last night. It's from Norman.
Oh, after the game,
right,
yeah.
After you're on your way back from Deepdale. And so there's another one from Road End Podcast. So, yeah, we're getting a few comments. Dave, tell me about this new song then. This is a Darwin Núñez song.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that happens over the summer, isn't it? So obviously, as a songwriter for the Ragamuffins and everything, and it's hard to switch it off. And when you think about it, all you need is like when you only need to write 3 or 4 lines, and you've effectively got a song that's a chant for a player. It's very easy to get into a headspace where you're just coming up with ideas and things every kind of hour or so. And I suppose the worst one over the summer is when there's transfer rumours. Because I was gutted when we never signed Kefram Turan, purely because me and Florin had been doing a gig, and a song came on by Mark Anthony in the background. And I was like, oh my goodness me, that would be the one. Trumpets and everything. I was like, that'd be another million streams on YouTube, basically. And obviously never signed him. So basically, I don't know. I was watching that. You seen that? Is it This Time with Alan Partridge, the one when he's in the TV studio? I was watching that, and at the end of one of the episodes, he starts singing "Men Behind the Wire" as his Irish alter ego.
Right.
And I was thinking, well, that rhymes with Uruguay, doesn't it? Or, wire, Uruguayan, and in the first line, that rhymes with Darwin. I was like, oh, there we go. Well, we'll just do that. So, and it fits in beautifully. So I thought, why not?
Okay.
So we've got that. But there's honestly, that's as much as the turnover in players. It also means that it keeps you kind of. I suppose we do need to freshen up the song, but because we were doing the Redmen, we did the Redmen end of season do, and they have a category for best song or song of the season, and we had a choice between the rehash of the Torres song for Diogo Jota, which is okay. Yeah. I mean, I like singing it because it gets a good response, but I think it's more nostalgia than anything.
Yeah.
And it was either that, or you can stick your coronation up here.
Actually, the rehash of the Torres song, I don't go along with. I don't buy into doing rehash. We don't do remakes. You know, it's, we don't do it. We've never had to.
Well, let's get you sent me a video today, Dave. So when did you take this? Was this today?
This was a good few weeks ago, and I got told off by my missus because I'd been wearing the top as a let's be honest, it's the summer holidays, and I've got 2 kids, so this is I can wear this without getting a top ruined. So
Okay.
yeah, my missus like, I can't believe you put that video up when wearing that top. It's atrocious. So you got a 25-year-old Adidas top on. So
all right, let's see it then. Here it is.
Darwin Nunes, number 9, scoring belters every time, and every red must stand behind the mighty Uruguayan. Darwin Nunes, number 9, scoring belters every time, and every red must stand behind the mighty Uruguayan. Sure, these Manx and Cockneys come, Darwin's got them on the run. He's out there scoring goals for a mighty Uruguayan. Darwin Nunes, number 9, scoring belters every time, and every man must stand behind the mighty Uruguayan. Darwin Nunes, number 9, scoring belters every time, and every red must stand behind the mighty Uruguayan. And every red must stand behind the mighty Uruguayan.
Yeah, that will go down well.
An exclusive maybe.
Yeah, that
Fingers
is
crossed,
good.
yeah.
That is good. I hope so.
Yanni, you can take that now all over Greece. You can say you've heard this song.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
You know.
so Yanni,
play it to
let's meet you. Let's find out about you. So you're new to our podcast. The other three of us, we've all been on this before. So tell us about you. How are you a Liverpool fan in Greece?
Well, my story is a little bit strange because I grew up in Canada and I had the chance to follow music programs late the 60s. So I was impressed and attracted, of course, to Beatles. And the producer, the TV producer, was saying Beatles from Liverpool. So I kept in my mind as a 6, 7 years old, Beatles, Liverpool. So when I came back to Greece, of course, football in Canada was zero at late 60s. There was not football there. And when I came back in Greece, in Athens, in almost summer 71, my mother's place was next to Panathinaikos football ground, the old one. And I was starting following football. And we were very lucky that days. We had every Saturday, every single Saturday, a program at TV about English football. So I was starting to follow English football. And sometime I was lucky to have some Liverpool games, but the main game that attracted me was the 1974 Cup final, Liverpool Newcastle 3-0, the last Bill Shankly's match. So I said, wow, Liverpool, Beatles, that's my team. And it's a little bit strange. Everybody goes from football to music, but I went on the other side.
Yeah.
But the result was the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm
how
a
are you
Liverpool
involved?
supporter.
How are you involved as a fan now?
Well, I'm running the Liverpool branch in Greece since '95. Yes, since '95. The old
And how many
branch.
members?
Actually, it's a little bit strange how people are following Liverpool here. Enrolled, let's say, at our files, we have about 1,500, but active are less. In any case, we run several things around football. We have a website, the liverpool.gr in Greek language.
Liverpool.gr.
Yes.
Okay.
We run a Facebook page that has about 35,000 followers, the Liverpool Greek official page. And at the same time, I run my own YouTube program. And lately, I went on Spotify because everybody was advising me, go on Spotify, do your podcast. Okay. The last 3 years, everybody was, let's say, pushing me to do it, and I've done it. The truth is that the last few years, I'm running out of time easily because of involved in many things, and last 2 years in acting, as John mentioned, and time is pressing, and I'm trying to, let's say, do all the things, but it's so attracting to go in Liverpool stuff all the time, just to find news, just to, let's say, separate news from rumors, and to write in the website, to let's say, comment on this on the channel, and to tell people which is true and what is not true.
Yeah.
And this getting involved with people, it's very, very attractive, of
Yeah.
course, because of Liverpool. Huh?
You mentioned
I know.
acting there. You've been in some movies, haven't you?
I've been in movies, in TV, Greek serials, and doing a lot of stuff the last 2 years. Sometimes participating with second, third roles, sometimes with first role, and sometimes just being, let's say, like a plant, just moving inside and doing things. But it's very attractive, because being on the media since 2003 with my own programs. I had my radio program about Liverpool, the Anfield Dodger, every Friday night. I had my own radio program about English football every Saturday, a couple of hours at the beginning, then 3 hours. And since then, I had my TV program with very famous journalism in Greece. He was fond of my radio program, so he proposed me to do some stuff at his own web TV program. And even though I was in front of the cameras, in front of microphones, I was very fond of doing this acting thing. So accidentally, as I was saying you before, I went someplace, and on the interview, they said to me, "Okay, we can do that because we are cooperating with some productions." And I said, "Okay, all right." I thought, nice story he's saying to me, but I'm not going to believe him. And when I went out from the interview, I was finished. And after a couple of hours, he said, "Are you Mr. John Scotidas?" Yes. We are from the Green Pixel Productions. I said, "Okay, it seems true, but I don't believe it." And since then, in 48 hours, I was on a Greek TV serial with a main role.
Wow.
Since then, I'm participating in many things. It's very interesting, and it's very creative. And being in front of the cameras or in front of a microphone, you're on the main person to control everything. Everybody follows, but it's different to follow somebody else's instructions. And this is very, very attractive because you are part of this creation, and it's something very wow, as young people say. And I'm fond of this. I've done the last few things I've done to I participate in Tehran. It's a British Israeli production, and it's going on in Greece, all the filming. And I went to Solo Marianne. It's about Leonard Cohen's life.
Leonard Cohen's
And
life, yeah?
I was in a role as a Secret Service agent. And I had two soldiers with me. We had arrested Leonard Cohen, and the actor was pretending that he was about 20 years old, Leonard Cohen. And I was picking up him and to the government service, to the man who was saying to him that you're not allowed to stay anymore here in our country. You're abandoned and you're supposed to leave. So it was very, very, everything you're dressing on other decades' clothes. You're driving cars from that ages. And it's some kind of moving through the time in past and living something else, something you didn't have the chance to be there. That film is about my scene is about the 50s.
Right.
Can you imagine yourself being dressed and driving a car, a Plymouth?
Yeah. Wow. That sounds really cool.
Graham, John, I'm gonna have to scoot. So, but yeah, right. I've got to put the kids to bed.
Okay, mate. All
So
right.
I'll be quite honest. So yeah.
Just before you do go, you know the song that we sing, "We're Not Famous Anymore."
Yeah.
Our days are numbered. We're not famous anymore. That goes on Campione. Well, that song came from Liverpool fans watching something in Thessalonica.
Yeah, PAOK, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I think, I don't know if it was Greek football or Greek parliament, but it was definitely, or politics. But in Greece, I don't think the things are that far apart, are they? But thanks, David, and thanks for giving us the clip, because it's a bit of an exclusive and it can now go all
Yeah.
over Greece.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. There you go. Right. See you later, folks. See you.
All right.
See you next season.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you, Dave.
Bye.
David John Jaggs
Bye.
from the Ragamuffins. So quite a showbiz evening tonight, a famous Greek actor, and also David John Jaggs. Only David John Jaggs has got to go and put the kids to bed. So real life interrupts art, doesn't it? There, but we've still got plenty to talk about. Now, we probably shouldn't dwell on last season.
To Yanni there, you mentioned earlier Red Armada, the magazine Red Armada.
Sorry. Red Armada. Yes.
Yeah. I actually did think. I do believe I saw a copy.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I did believe I saw a copy of that back because I'd only just started Red All Over the Land, and I used to get magazines sent to me from everywhere.
I'll try to find. We published 7 issues, and I have to try to find some of them. I'm not sure how many double issues I can get. I'll try to find out through the guys. The team who were publishing. They're doing the whole stuff, so I'll try to send you some copies and keep them as collectors' items. I know Red All Over the Land fanzine since the first days it was came up because I was traveling a lot during the 90s, and I was many times at Anfield at the second half of 90s, and so I was there meeting some people selling or getting the Red All Over the Land. We were very fond of, we were coming from a country that they had about 7, 8 sports newspapers, but we never had the chance to have something special around Liverpool. So coming to England, coming to Liverpool and seeing all these fanzines all around us, we were attracted and trying to buy everything to get back in Greece and to read. And, it was some kind of feeling like a child. Giving a present, yes. I'm Graham. It's true. Well, we cannot describe what we were feeling as a team traveling, because I was traveling through since 80s. But as a group, as a supporters branch, we were traveling since Easter '96 was the first trip, the first organized trip. So we were, sometimes we were in front of a Liverpool world, and we were very, very impressed. Well, our eyes were open, our ears were open, let's say, getting all the stuff and trying to pick it up back in Greece. What we were reading at the fanzines that days, let's say, pushed us to get the Red Armada. It was a nice trip, about 1.5 years, but as I said before, we were not specialists, we were amateurs, and
But the inspiration was Red All Over the Land.
The inspiration was very, very attractive. It guided us to make our own magazine, our own fanzine, if you can say it like this. Sometimes you have to get some ideas from somewhere. You don't get everything by your own. Somebody has to, let's say, give you the inspiration. So that's Red All Over the Land was one of the sources to get the inspiration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good to know. All right.
Now it's an honor, and it's an honor to be with John at the same.
It's always an honor to be in the presence of John Pearman, Yanni. I still get blown away by it. Yeah. Well, let's talk about. We won't talk about last season. We can talk about pre-season though. John, what are your thoughts about the pre-season campaign so far? Was
Um,
5 games? Was it 5 games, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I think you have to push things into the background because they are, uh, when all said and done, they're just the friendly games, but they're basically in sometimes they're no more than training games. You get 27 players being used and things like that, and it does give you an opportunity, the fans, an opportunity to see the younger players and. Everybody at the moment is talking about Ben Doak. What a star! 17-year-old from Glasgow. You know if he's going to be in the Scottish international side next season, as far as I can see. He's there already. He's that good. Um, we've seen the other young lads like Bobby Clark, another prospect there. Comes from a footballing background. His father played for Newcastle, so he's got something to offer. We saw the other two young lads, McConnell and Scanlon, and they're not phased by it. That's the important thing. They're coming on and they're playing with players that they've stood and admired for a few years now. Now they're suddenly teammates with them, and it's that's what Liverpool have done this pre-season. They've introduced a new element. I've been pretty impressed by McAllister, very much so. The guy, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, the Hungarian. We'll call him Slobby, whatever you
Yeah,
want.
his name looks like one of those eye test charts, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It doesn't. Yeah, I'm not very good on them either. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Soboslai.
Well,
say
he
it
does look.
again.
It's
does look-
Soboslai.
Oh,
Sloboshy.
Soboslai.
yeah.
It's
Slobosly?
Soboslai. It's like
Soboslai.
you break your hand and you have to get it like this on the white stuff. You can break your tongue, so we can. Well, it's more easy to say Dominic.
Well, we yeah, Dominic or
Sobo.
Slobby. Yeah, somebody's put something in the fanzine. They've called him.
Slobberslide, not that difficult. How did I go with it then, Yanni? Was it close?
It's not that difficult. No,
Slobberslide.
try and get it. He's not here now, but try and get David to sing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 The cop's going to have some problems with that, I think. Yeah, he's going to have a nickname for sure. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Providing it's not goulash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It was interesting last night. I saw the second half of last night. Simicast came on. You must be a fan of him, Yanni.
He's a very good player and a very good guy. I didn't have the chance to attend the game last night. I have a problem with my system.
Uh-huh.
I saw some highlights. Okay, I've read a lot about the last night match, and of course, I have a few guys all around me that they are involved with the journalism job, or they're ex-players, footballers, and we let's say going on some analysis around every match, and of course all Liverpool stuff. Everybody's getting worried about the problem on the middle of the field.
Midfield, yeah.
Yes, we don't have a defensive midfielder, and also you cannot, let's say, we say it in Greek language, baptize somebody. I was baptized as Giannis. You cannot baptize somebody and say, you today are going to be a defensive midfielder. If he doesn't know the job,
Yeah.
as best he can get, and give his best, I don't feel he can manage. And of course, now we say Curtis is going to do the job. I'm not sure that Curtis can get this. And if somebody says he may be, I say, okay, get Curtis on one screen and get next to him, let's say, Mascherano. Do you feel that they are the same players and they can do the same job? No, definitely. 100%. No, not 100, 1,000%. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's like me.
Mascherano, to me, was the best defensive midfield player I've ever seen. and he could foul somebody and get a free kick. He was that cute. He got so many attributes. He was a brilliant player. Yeah, but we'll
Yeah.
not find another one like him.
How worried are you guys though about the amount of goals we let in the preseason? John, we had a conversation on the phone lunchtime, and you had the number. It's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, we've
5
let in
games.
11 goals, and
11 goals in 5 games.
is it 11 goals or is it more than that? It was 2, 4, 6, 10. Yeah, 11 goals in 5 games, and there's been some
Just
poor
counting.
goals conceded. Poor goals
Yeah.
conceded, but
Yeah.
as somebody always will point out, it's only pre-season. However, when we go forward, we look like we can score.
And we are scoring.
Yeah,
We beat Leicester
and we've
4-0 in
got a
Singapore,
great, strange thing that's happened in pre-season is people have been talking about goal scorers and they've not been talking about Mo Salah, because I think Mo's set up, or as they now call them, assists. I
Assists,
think
yeah.
he's given 5 assists or something like that, and he's got an understanding with the rest of the forward line. But I actually like Mo playing with Darwin Núñez, because Darwin Núñez can play with Mo, and that's something that we might not be seeing for a few weeks yet.
Yeah.
But Jota's looking good. Diaz is certainly coming back to his best form. I
That
mean,
goal
last night,
last night. Wow.
well, that goal, but then there was something else when he did a bit of juggling in the penalty area, and he basically was pushed off the ball. But yeah, what a player! What a player!
Yeah. I think the only disappointment at the moment, I think, for us as far as new players goes, is Ben Doak's choice of barber. I mean, what was he thinking? That haircut. What he's got to be seen. Does he realise people are looking at him? I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, we'll just have to see how we go. Because what is everyone's thoughts on this Saudi money thing? I know in the new Read All Over the Land that Alan Green, the former BBC commentator who has a regular column, he was scathing is probably an understatement for his latest column about the Saudi business. What do we think about this and how it could change the game? And it certainly had an effect on our club. It's taken our captain.
what do you think, Yannick?
If we're talking about only Virgil, he's I feel the best option to be as a captain, and Trent, the vice captain. Why not? Actually, I was feeling that Trent is going to be the captain in any case. Since 2017, when I saw him playing first time, was August, like these days. They were playing at Hoffenheim. So I said, this kid is going to play not on the center, on the right side of the back. He's going to play at midfield, and once he's going to be, let's say, the next Steven Gerrard's era, the local boy that he's going to get the arm brand. I was not sure he was going to get it so early as a vice captain, but yes, why not? Maybe Ali could be a great option as a vice captain, but somebody else is deciding about this.
But what do we think about how the Saudi Arabian, players being basically poached? What do we think about that situation now and how it could change the English game, and in particular the impact it could have on our club?
Should I answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem because they can manage to give money that some clubs in England and all over Europe, of course, cannot, of course, support. We've seen this with 2 cases with Henderson and Fabinho. Of course, ex-players were going there. And not only players from England, from Spain, everywhere. And also players that could play in a good age and go on their careers at Premier League. But they are attracted by money. And this is going to affect all football. Say that I'm crazy about thinking this, but I'm worried that these football clubs from Saudi Arabia maybe at future will demand to get in European leagues, Champions League, Europa League. We've seen this so many decades from teams playing from Israel for different reasons. But why not sometime getting better and better are going to, let's say, try to do some kind of what happened in Eurovision. It was a music competition for European countries, but Australia enrolled once.
Yeah.
So this is getting worried that the whole thing, the whole story is going to affect football in Europe. And I hope that this comes as late as it can come, because I don't want football to change as we know it up to now. It has already changed, not more. And it doesn't go on a positive way.
Well, I think that's a good time to bring in Dom from the Road End podcast. How are you, Dom? You all right?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you again. What are your thoughts on this, the Saudi Arabian money situation in football?
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't too concerned until he came and took our midfield.
Till it affects us.
Yeah, I was like, you can buy who you want off the Chelseas and everyone, but as soon as they knocked on our door, I was baffled.
Yeah. What are they saying, your listeners to the Road End podcast? What has that been the general reaction there?
I think in terms of who they've bought, I don't think it was a surprise in terms of them actually going and getting out the door, because I feel like we've held on to players for too long in recent past, and maybe it was the time for both of them to go anyway. It's just a disappointing from people I speak to in Henderson's situation because of obviously what he represented and who he represented. I think that's the biggest disappointment. Like if he'd have gone to, let's say, a lesser club, which would have happened because his next move from Liverpool would have been maybe a lower end Premier League team, or if Sunderland got promoted, something like that, then I don't think people would have been as bothered or actually even thought about it. But the fact that he's gone there after everything he's promoted, I think that's been obviously a massive disappointment on his behalf. You
mean specifically things like gay rights and freedoms and stuff like that? Yeah.
Human rights and rainbow laces, which he was the spearhead for. He then went completely against everything. And, I always thought of Jordan Henderson as a man of integrity, and everything he says he stood by, and it kind of feel like everything he said was sort of put in front of him and he just had to say it. Now, when you look back, it's sad. It's a sad way for him to go, if you ask me.
I agree with you. I actually thought that Jordan Henderson would leave Liverpool and go back home to Sunderland and be a big part in, if they could come back up or whatever, but play a part in their rebirth, because they have been down at the bottom and they've had a lot of problems. So yeah, I agree with you. My view is that I think the Saudi money could infiltrate it it has done, as Yanni was saying. All the European clubs are now going to be looking over their shoulder at where somebody's going to go next, and a lot of these footballers, they're not English footballers, so they're not got the same principles that we like to think some of our players may have. But if somebody drops £250,000, £500,000 a week on your table, saying you can have that if you come over here for 2 years, a lot of these players who are from maybe like Brazil, maybe other countries, they're going to go. And some players like Mo Salah. Mo Salah's a Muslim, so he could go over there. And the cultures, I don't know what the culture's like in Egypt, but he could go there and he's not going to feel out of place. I think Jordan Henderson might feel out of place. But
I think, though, John, you say about, you're offered like £250,000 a week. If any of the four of us were offered £250,000 a week, we can't say we wouldn't be tempted. But we're talking about professional footballers here who are on a decent amount. And, if you're on £100,000, how much do you need? how much can you spend in a lifetime? They're already well paid. It's not like they were on 30 grand here and they're offered 250,000. But they're already well paid players playing for top teams like Liverpool. It is. I think the agents must have an effect on it. And you mentioned agents in your editorial, John, didn't you?
Yeah, well, the agents get a percentage, don't they? They get a cut, and they always have done. That's going to continue. It's just a worrying thing that this has come out of the blue. Nobody saw it coming until Ronaldo went there, and even then, I think most of us laughed at it. What's he going to do there? Score 10 goals a game, and But I don't know what the standard's like, but it's obviously on the up, and you've now got several world famous players playing over there, and it's going to be something when teams like Liverpool, Manchester United. I won't mention Manchester City and Newcastle because they're part of it. They're part of why this is happening. But now these clubs are going to come and say the Saudi leagues or whatever they're called, they're going to come over here and say, well, we'll have him. And that's it. Yeah, they can buy what they like over there, so they'll do that here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, now we've got you on, Dom. Tell us about the Road End podcast.
Okay. So it's basically, I started it off. I lost a family member, brother-in-law, and it was a case of I needed a distraction, let's say, from real life. And work and obviously family is not really a distraction because you're at work and you're constantly bombarded. And then afterwards, I was sort of like deflated, just overthinking. So I just came up with the podcast to keep me busy, let's say. And it just grew into something that I didn't expect. So I have a new guest on each week, whether they're ex-players, coaches, staff, Liverpool fans in general, and just discuss their careers, and then we talk a little bit about the club itself and the current situations going on. We don't talk too much about the club, so I'm not the guy that you're going to look at, and I'm going to be providing you all sorts of updates on transfers and these things. That's just not how it rolls, because I try and stay as far away from that as I can because it's so toxic. So what you'll get from me is you'll just get a genuine listen from a genuine conversation, and you'll get people who are actually speaking from the heart as well. On their life and obviously the club itself. So yeah, it's doing quite well. I'm into season 3 at the moment. It's getting good numbers, it's getting good listeners, and it's getting out there, and that's really something I wasn't expecting, but it's happening.
Yeah, and it's called the Road End Podcast. If you're looking for it.
When I first heard about the Road End Podcast, I had this nightmare because growing up in the 60s as a football fan, the Road End was always a little bit fearsome. You know, even ardent Coppites wouldn't go in the Road End. But I'm glad to say you're not quite like that. Yeah, but it just made me think. It brought back some memories. Definitely.
No, it's a great title because it's more like the heritage of fans of the club, and it's and it brings all that back. Yeah. You decided not to call it the Paddock or something a bit tamer, Yeah.
No, the Road End just sort of fell off my tongue. I was actually recording before I even had the title, so I got the title together, and then I had people messaging me saying, my dad and my uncles used to fight in the match. Do you want them on? And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So I got the wrong end of the stick with people.
Talking about that end of the ground, we're hearing now that the new Anfield Road extension, the extra 7,000 seats, it's not going to be ready for the beginning of the season. What do we know about that, and what do we feel about that?
I sort of feel like it was expected from what I've seen the ground in the last few months. There was no way that was going to be ready. I don't know why they thought it was going to be, to be honest.
Have you been watching the drone footage? There's a couple of YouTube channels where the blokes, really good guys, put the drone up and show you what's going on. And you could tell about 3 weeks ago it wasn't looking that good. But, we don't know what finished looks like. The main stand.
I assume the club will have had some undertakings in the contract that if it wasn't ready, there'll be penalty clauses. So maybe that could go towards funding this defensive midfield player that we're after. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do actually know that an old friend of mine from Loughborough is working on that, but I've not been in touch with him recently to find out what he's been doing.
Yeah.
He was one of the constructors, so
Yeah. So do we know? Are they going to open the lower tier though in time for the?
yeah,
Oh, they
yeah,
are for the Bournemouth game,
yeah,
and the upper tier. We've just got to wait for that. That's how that works.
yeah. We've seen
Yeah.
that before with the when they first put the seats in the road and when they made it 2 tier,
Yeah.
they had to close it for a little while because it wasn't safe.
Well, it was
So you
wobbling. It was after the Celtic fans, wasn't it? They were.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it
They got the top
wobbles,
tier
so,
wobbling, and they had to put a couple of posts in, because I
yeah.
know the next match we went to, I went with Julie, and my seat was missing because there was a post where the seat should be, and they had to move us. And that was because they hadn't. They'd already sold the tickets to the game, and and the post that one of those new posts went right to the seat that I had the ticket for. That was back when you could buy tickets to Anfield. You know,
Yeah,
you didn't have to work for Carlsberg or whoever the sponsor is or whoever it is that gives out all the bloody tickets now, because it ain't the club. Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. Well. Okay, well, so there's a kind of a partnership there, John, between Red All Over the Land and the Road End podcast, is there, would we say? Or
Well, I'd like to work closer with them, and you know, if we can help you, fine, and if you, I'm sure you could help us. We need
Of course.
publicity. We need to get not just for the YouTube, but we need to get publicity for the fanzine. Get people buying it. The number of people that subscribed this season is actually going very, very well. It's beating last year's, and we could get people if we could get people in Greece. I know there's a language difficulty, but you know, if people can spread the word in Greece for either the printed version or the new flip page version, which is I think is pretty good.
it's online, isn't it, John? I had a look at that tonight. Yeah, it's great.
It is pretty good, and we just want to keep it going.
You might be with the flip version. You might be able to put it into Google Translate and translate it into Greek. I don't know.
You do that, Graham. I'll let you do that. But,
Then you have
we
to
do want to. We do want to get. We do
going
want to
through
keep it
Google
going.
translation from English to Greek language. Then you got to go on another translation from Greek Google translation to Greek language.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I'll leave that to the experts. So, I mean, I'm barely translated into English. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you know, the fanzine's been going for, as we've said, 28 years, and it needs to just keep going. And I'm hoping that somebody out there in the dark somewhere can come out and say, "Well, when you go, we'll carry it on," because it's the fans' own voice. It's there for the fans. It's not for me. But it's like we've got people in there criticising Jordan Henderson, Steven Gerrard, Robbie Fowler for going to Saudi Arabia. You won't read that in the match day programme. You won't.
No.
You might see it in the Liverpool Echo, but you won't read it in anything official. They'll bypass that. In fact, they'll put, "Oh, you know, Jordan says farewell and fabulous. You know, great, but you take your money and live with your conscience." That's
Yeah.
my view. But
Yeah.
that's what fanzines are about. And you know, I've been speaking to somebody only this week about the end, not the end of Red All Over the Land, but the end, the original Liverpool fanzine. And you know what, they started off, they were trendsetters, and it's nice to think that some of the people connected with that are still around, still match goers, still involved, like Peter Hooton, Kevin Sampson, people like that. They're still around, still doing things. So they never went away. So fanzines can't go away. We must keep them going.
Well, you've got a partnership going now, John, with Spirit of Shankly.
Yes, we're hoping to build on that over the next few weeks. I've been speaking with Paul Kahn, the new chair. He came after me. He came out and said, "I want to meet up with you." So we met, had a good chat, and we're hoping that possibly on the next Red All Over YouTube, we're going to have Paul on with us.
That'd be great.
He's,
That'd be
he's
really
an
good.
extremely busy guy, but yeah, if we can get
Because
him
they
on.
liaise directly with the club, don't they, on behalf of the fans?
Yes, they're on the fans board, so they have got a door they can knock on. Somebody said they should have a word with the club about the transfer policy, but as Paul told me, that's the one thing they can't do. They can't. We all wish we could, but
Yeah.
we all wish that for many years, but we can't.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been great having everybody on, and thank you very much to John Pearman, Red All Over the Land editor, 28 years, the creator and the editor. To Yanni, live from Greece. You got something you need to plug then, Yanni? How are Liverpool fans, how do they get in contact with you in case we've got any Greek viewers?
Well, they can get from the contact area at our website, liverpool.gr, or following us at YouTube at Red Glasses. That's the title of the show. Spotify is Red Glasses. And we are on social media anyway. What I would like to say to John is that we are going to support the best way to spread all over Greece, all over the land, because 20 years of history and fanzine must be supported to go on and to increase as much as they can get.
Yeah.
Well, whenever I go to Greece, I always take a copy and leave it somewhere. It probably gets picked up by somebody from England, though.
Yeah.
By the way, about English, was saying John. Everybody here in Greece, they know to speak English in a mid-level. And sometimes I'm arguing with people writing articles, and I say, when you're referring to Liverpool or to English names, you're going to write it on the right way with Latin letters. And they say, why? Nobody knows so well the English language. And I said, okay, can you explain me why on the Greek police cars, they're writing Elniki Astinomia, that's the Greek way, and police under there? What for? So all signs, everywhere you have the Greek names and English underneath. So everybody knows English. Okay. They cannot be professors at university, but we are not looking for this.
Okay.
So
well,
worry,
they might want to listen to
English.
they might want to listen to the Road End podcast as well. Dom, how do they get hold of that? It's wherever you get your good podcasts. That's how they say it? But you're on everything, what, Apple and Spotify and everything, all the places they get them?
Yeah, pretty much. So Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, YouTube. It's on its own specific website, which is plugged. But yeah, you can pretty much catch it anywhere now. It's like, it's moving.
Okay, and for the fanzine, of course, you can see the address there. It's redallovertheland.com. John, we must plug the night one more time because loads of people I know, because this is such a big name, and because we've had so much success in the previous dues. We've done live Red All Over the Land nights. The first one we had Steve McMahon and John Aldridge. The second one, which is where I met Dom, which was Phil Thompson in Hotel Anfield. The next one is going to be Kevin Keegan. So this will sell out fast. The venue to be announced, but we know the date. It's the 18th of November. If anyone wants more info on that, what's the best way to keep in touch with you, John? Because they don't want to miss out, because this will sell out quick.
They can email me. They can follow me on Twitter at the Fanzine1.
At the Fanzine number 1, isn't it? At the Fanzine 1, yeah.
They can get in touch with Yanni because it's his birthday, and they're going to bring a plane over from Greece.
Yeah.
We're what we're doing is the idea is to have Kevin Keegan and George Sefton should be there, and we're also hoping to have Alan Green there, obviously from the fanzine now rather than the BBC, and also maybe a special guest that we're going to try and sort something out. The idea is to involve the spirit of Shankly if we can, and try and look at ways where we can support their local causes. I won't say charities because they're looking at local causes, and that that can be a whole span of things. You all know what's going on in Liverpool with the community-based projects. We want to support them, and we hope that people from the Road End podcast will not just mention it, but come along. We can also look at other people like the Red Men TV, the Spirit of Shankly, the Anfield Rap. We want to get people there. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to be very expensive to put it on. So it's going to be a lot of hard work. But yeah, we look forward to it. And he's an iconic figure, is Kevin Keegan, as everybody knows. But the thing is that it was 60 years ago, when the Kop took off as a national
phenomenon.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. I can't say that though, Graham, at the moment. Okay. But yeah, it took off, and it was thanks basically to Shankly being involved. We can't forget Merseybeat, so we want to link all that together, where we've got something that remembers how the Kop got its reputation for singing initially pop songs, then football songs that no other.
As long
club,
as Kevin Keegan doesn't want to sing that pop song he did, though.
Oh no, we're not going to get him singing that song of his. No, I didn't buy that one.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if it was worse than Glenn Hoddle's or not. But anyway, there was a link up that was 60 years ago. So that's something else we should be thinking of celebrating as fans as well, because it was a unique time. And as I said to somebody earlier, there's not a lot of us around now that can remember watching the Panorama programme live. I can remember watching that on the Monday night. And then, of course, it'd be the 50th anniversary of Shankly's last title, the 50th anniversary of the next year will be the 50th anniversary of the 1974 Cup final. Keegan was involved in a lot of that, so there's a lot to
the 73 UEFA Cup first European trophy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And that's that's the anniversary of that. Keegan played in that game too. Yeah.
So we've got all these things to do. So as much publicity, people, please. That's all we can ask for. And Graham will be there hosting the show.
Well, sold.
All right, it's November the 18th. I hope you managed to get a ticket.
The actual birthday of Red All Over the Land.
As well as that, yeah. It's multiple anniversaries. Yeah, so it's very important. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. John, thank you for 28 years of combining the stories and whatever the fans are saying. It's for the fans and it's by the fans, isn't it? It's Red All Over the Land. You'll see John on match days just outside the back of the main stand. You're still there, aren't you, John?
Just say thank you to Yanni for coming on from Greece, and I hope we'll stay in touch now. And Dom, it's only been short, but thank you for taking time out. I know you're busy, and I hope you'll come on again in the not too distant future.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Always available, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'll
try to be here.
And
Cheers.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, everyone. Please remember, you'll never walk alone.
Thank
You'll
you.
never walk alone.